Okay, today we're going to talk about equations with variables on both sides. So at this point, you have solved equations that took one step, two-step, and multi-step. Now we're going to put it all together and see what we do when we have a equation with a variable on both sides. So if we look at an example, here is my equation. And if we look, if we follow like we have before, we draw a line right through the equal sign. Now, I have a p on one side, and I have 2p, and I have negative 4p on the other side. Reminder that the sign goes with the number. So what I want to do is I want to get all the p's on the same side. So look at your two p's. You have 2p and negative 4p. Which one's smaller? Well, negative 4 is smaller than 2, so that's the one I'm going to move. And if you remember, to remove addition or subtraction, we do the inverse, the opposite. So I'm going to add 4p to both sides. Another way of remembering is if it's negative on this side, it's going to be positive on the other side. So this 9 drops down, and I have 2p plus 4p is 6p's. And then equals negative 3 drops down, and those cancel out. Check to make sure that they cancel out. Now, I still don't have p by itself, so I'm going to look at this. I have 9 plus 6 times p. So I'm going to get rid of the 9 first. I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. Those cancel. 6p drops down. Negative 3 and negative 9, when I add those together, I get negative 12. Or if you type it in your calculator, negative 3 minus 12, or minus 9 is negative 12. Now I have 6 times p. I'm going to do the opposite and divide both sides by 6. And I get p equals negative 2. If you wanted to check your work, you would easily take this in and plug it in for p in each of your equations, or each of your terms. So I have 9 plus 2 times negative 2 equals negative 3 minus 4 times negative 2. And if you plug this right in your calculator, 9 plus 2 times negative 2, that's negative 4 plus 9 is 5. And type this in your calculator as it is. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And minus negative 8 is positive 8. Minus 3 is positive 5. So it works. Okay, copy down example 2. Draw your line through the equal sign and identify your variables. So I have 7 b's here and 1 b there. Which one is smaller? Well, 1 is less than 7. Remember, if there isn't a number in front of it, we assume it's a 1. So I'm going to subtract b from both sides, or subtract 1b. This gives me 6b. That drops down, I get minus 2. b minus b is 0, equals 10. Now it's a two-step equation. Get rid of addition and subtraction first, so I'm going to add 2. And I get 6b equals 12. And now it's a one-step equation. Divide both sides by 6, and you get b equals 2. Again, you can place this back in, substitute. To check, you get 7 times 2 minus 2 equals 2 plus 10. 7 times 2 is 14, minus 2 is 12, and 2 plus 10 is 12. So I'm correct. Now look at this one. This one's a little bit different, whereas before I can even start to get my x's on one side, I have to simplify the distributive property. So I'm going to just look at the one side here, and I'm going to simplify. So I'm going to distribute the 4 to everything in parentheses, and I have 4 times 21 is 84 minus 4x. Now I have equals 3x. So for this one, first thing you want to do is distribute. Anytime you have parentheses, just like that PEMDAS that you learned, get rid of the parentheses first, use the distributive property. Now identify your variables. I have a negative 4x on the left and a positive 3x on the right. So I'm going to, negative 4 is less than 3, so I'm going to add 4x to both sides. 84 drops down. Those cancel, equals 7x. Divide both sides by 7. You get 12 equals x. Plug that in for everywhere you see an x. So I have 4 times 21 minus 12 equals 3 times 12. 21 minus 12 is 9. 9 times 4 is 36. And 3 times 12 is 36. So I'm right. Okay, copy down example 4. If I look at this one, you will see that there are no parentheses. So I'm just going to identify my variables. There's 6w and 4w. Which one is smaller? That would be 4. So I'm going to subtract 4w from both sides. This gives me 2w. That drops down, plus 3. Those cancel, equals negative 1. Now I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. This gives me 2w. Those cancel, equals negative 4. Divide both sides by 2, and I get w equals negative 2. Again, you want to check to see if you're right. Plug it in everywhere you see a w. 6 times negative 2 plus 3 equals 4 times negative 2 minus 1. 6 times negative 2 is negative 12, plus 3 is negative 9. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, minus 1 is negative 9. So I am correct.